So, as I'm sure you guys are aware, the Republican primary just took place in the Iowa caucus, and Donald Trump was surprisingly the victor. He walked away with 51% of the vote, which honestly was lower than I expected. I expected it to be like in the mid 50s or something like that. So, you can say that he underperformed, but it was still more than half the voters, meaning that even if, everyone dropped out and Voltron behind one candidate, Trump still would have won. And that's assuming that Trump wasn't the second choice for other people. So yeah, Trump's obvious commanding lead on the Republican Party was solidified, and he's definitely going to be the nominee. And I was looking through the data on his voters just to find what they were thinking. And it didn't surprise me. It was like 85% of them agreed with Trump's statements that immigrants are, poisoning the blood of the country. 80% of 88% of them believe that Joe Biden didn't win the election in 2020. What you'd expect. Uh, One thing that I did notice that I wanted to bring up amongst others with you guys was this entrance poll that said 60% of the voters for the Republican Party in the Iowa caucus advocated for a nationwide ban on abortion. And the abortion thing is, as I've mentioned, is going to be, it has been the death knell of Republican politicians over and over again. And seeing that number, it was 60% after everything that's already happened, that like Republicans know, like they intellectually know that this is a losing message, and like the majority of them are still sticking with it. That means that their politicians are going to have to do the same. And that was like the one bright spot I got from this, that Republicans are still going down with this ship, and that we will be able to exploit that, or people, who aren't Republicans, like anywhere on the moderate left. But what was you guys' takeaway from this, Liz? Like, what were your thoughts when you saw the shocking news that Trump won the Iowa caucus?
I just wanted to clarify real quick. Did you say 60% of the people who voted for Trump were in favor of an abortion ban or were
Yeah,
opposed?
No,
they were in
60%
favor.
of everyone was
Yeah,
in favor of
everyone
banning
that
abortion.
yeah that voted at the Iowa caucus
Wow.
was in favor. Right?
And
Was in
and
favor.
another interesting statistic on that is that of the people who were in favor of voting for abortions, they were more likely to vote for Trump. He took 53% of the people who were in favor of banning abortions and only 42% of the people opposed to banning abortions. And Nikki Haley actually took 37% of those who banned abortions. She was fairly close to Trump among those. So even within the Republican Party, abortion plays a large role
It's still
in the
huge.
outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because they've so successfully convinced so many people that a fetus is the same equivalent as a baby. And so, when you are convincing people that they are fighting for a literal life or death cause, also the unborn are a very convenient group to advocate for. But my first thoughts when I saw the caucus were actually not about Donald Trump. They were about Vivek
Oh,
Ramaswamy.
no, I haven't written down. I'm so glad you brought this up.
But I think he proved to us all that America is more racist than it is transphobic, because he was really going down the let's hope that I get the transphobe vote. And what did he go out with? 7.5%?
7%. 7%.
7%. Oh, and
I
I'm pretty sure he dropped out of
I
the race.
love the exit poll like quotes there. People are just like, yeah, no, I was around during World War II, and I'll never forgive those guys for what they did at Pearl Harbor. It's just like that's the most racist thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So, all
Pearl
right, there
Harbor.
was.
He thought they were like he's
I,
Japanese.
I didn't see that, but that's wild. But so I'm glad you brought up Vivek, because I was going to bring him up too eventually in this conversation. Because yeah, Vivek, we did a video months ago about him, trotting out the lines like America's not a racist country. I've never met a white supremacist in my life. Maybe one exists, but maybe unicorns exist. And it's like, buddy, you fucking know. Like, you can pretend. I get you're pretending for the votes and everything, but there was I don't know if you guys saw this interview or this clip where it showed Vivek Ramaswamy's wife, and she was talking to this couple at a diner. Did you see this? Uh, it's solid gold. You got to find it. So she's and look, she seems like a really nice person, which she can't be married to that guy. But like everything I saw from her, she seemed like really pleasant and really chill. But she's talking to this couple, and she asked them, so, in your personal life, do you know anyone who has any reservations for voting for my husband? And the woman, she says, well, I mean, I know this one person, I can't remember who they were, but they said that, they were kind of turned off from voting for him because of his dark skin. And then she said, I think her husband chimed in and said something like, yeah, we remember 9/11, and that's pretty recent. And I watched that video. First, obviously 9/11, like, okay, the guy's Indian, he's not, but you guys don't know the difference. Brown skin's all you need to know. But I knew the woman was lying because, listen, if I ask somebody, hey, why don't you want to vote for candidate X? And their answer was, I'm kind of turned off by his dark skin. I remember that person's name, their face, where I was when it happened. Like everything about, lady.
Well, you don't live in Iowa, though. That's probably more common.
Abnormal. Yeah, I was gonna say, if that's a really common thing that you hear, that might just be their average Tuesday.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe she heard it from a lot of people. Okay, I hadn't considered that. I thought that she was either lying about it or she was talking about herself. And that
seems like maybe the more one.
Two.
Yeah.
But yeah, John, sorry. Like, what were your overall thoughts?
No, I mean, with the Vivek thing, we talked about it before.
So funny.
We had an episode about it last week, and everything we said was just true. So pat us on the back. But no, he dropped out. He endorsed Trump. Trump accepted the endorsement. Like we all knew this is exactly how it was going to happen. The thing that I think really, so the biggest thought I have from this is just like, okay, it's real. Like we've known that like Trump is going to be the nominee. Like we've said this for a year now, that Trump is going to be the nominee, and there's nothing that's going to change to stop that. And it is scary. And today, like, he made a Truth Social post essentially saying, yeah, no, presidents should have immunity from everything. And it's like, he's leaning into the fascist stuff so hard, which I genuinely believe that once he's the guy and he's on getting more national attention and everything, like that's going to bite him in the ass because he's not going to stop because he's Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it is scary. Like it is just genuinely scary to see there was the largest Iowa caucus win ever, like the largest margin of victory for a competitive race, not featuring an incumbent. And like it is, as much as we like joke and we just kind of assume that this is the way it's going to be, it is important to acknowledge how batshit insane it is for the largest margin of victory to be from someone who literally, like, and I cannot stress this enough, is arguing that he should have full immunity to do whatever he wants as president. Like that is a very, very scary thing. Even if you're like, oh, January 6th wasn't an insurrection, you should be able to see that sentence and find the problems with it.
What were you saying, Liz?
I said that's the entire reason he's running, isn't it? And I mean, to me, there's so much about it, right? Donald Trump has shown who he is as a person. And so people who think that he, would make a good for another term would make a good president are just, to me, it's like, yeah, this is so clear that you're bigoted because this man has been found guilty in a court of law of sexual assault. He's been found guilty of exclusionary business practices that target people of color. He's all of these things. We know this about this man, and the fact that he's doing this and he's like, I should get off scot-free because I have this position, and people are still voting for him.
Yeah. And Liz, you were too generous with Trump's convictions. I mean, yeah, he has fraudulent charge for a scam university. Him and his sons were convicted of defrauding a children's cancer charity. I mean, it's just like,
I forgot about the children's cancer.
Children's cancer, yeah.
That one. Not even regular cancer, man. The kids.
He didn't have the decency to go after old people cancer. Like, it's just like,
yeah, they're close.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like if someone created this character, you'd be like, okay, this is too ham-fisted and over the top. Like no one could possibly be this cartoonishly evil, and that's what Trump is. And not just like his like business performance, but just who he is as a person. Like I always say, like if you had a 6-year-old that acted like Donald Trump, you would be correcting that 6-year-old all day long. Like, listen, that is not how we behave in polite society. You can't go around doing that. But when Trump does it, they clap like seals. They love it. And it's funny, John, you mentioned how, like his entire message is, yeah, I believe the president should have full power to do whatever he wants. And it's like, okay, no, you don't. You want you to have full power because remember that thing about someone asked, like, should the president have immunity to assassinate his political rival? And he's like, well, I mean, look, it's very tricky. You can't get around to that. It's like, okay.
No, TJ, I want to clarify there. It wasn't someone asking someone. It was a court.
It was a court, yeah.
It was like the lawyer was asked, do you think, is your position that the president of the United States should be legally allowed to assassinate his political opponents? And his lawyer literally argued, yes, that is my position. And it's like, yeah, no, that's you. Like, you're arguing you should be assassinated, right?
Yeah. And it's like, so, because like, you think Joe Biden has the right to have you assassinated? That's what you're saying. And it's the argument I like to use all the time with the January 6 people, because like, okay, what you guys are fighting for is insanity, because you realize who the vice president is right now. Like we all know this, right? Like we know who's going to be in that chair after the election next January. You're saying Kamala Harris has the unilateral power to decide which electoral votes to take and which ones not to take. Are you okay with that? The answer is obviously no. So like they don't really believe this. They just, use whatever they want to, try to get their power. It's just so transparently inauthentic that it's hard to take people seriously, but you have to, because, who the president of the United States is a pretty big deal, not for us, but not just for us, but the entire world.
We're going to have plenty of time to talk about Trump and fascism and all of that here on the left wing. We'll be talking about it plenty over the next year. I'd like to take a moment, though, since we're talking about the Iowa caucus, putting Trump and everything to the side. I want to talk about how fucking dumb the Iowa caucus is and the primary process in general, because it makes no fucking sense to me that a state can just put in its constitution that we're going to have the dumbest possible way of collecting votes, and we have to be the first state to do it. And it's dumb. It makes no sense. And I don't understand why anyone in America looks at this and goes, yeah, no, states should do primaries, independently of each other. It shouldn't all be done on one day like every other election. We have to have the state of Iowa being very crucial in the process of campaigns. Like, it's so dumb. Like, Iowa, representative of the multiculturalism in America. Like, it is utterly ridiculous. I hate it. And I haven't even heard anyone argue that it's a good thing.
No.
I haven't even heard the other side of this argument. It's just, oh, well, this is what we do, and I guess we'll keep doing it.
Listen, the only positive part about the Iowa caucus taking place and having such an important role in American politics is that every 2 or 3 years, we are blessed with an endless supply of photos of politicians shoving corn dogs in their mouths, which is hilarious, which I love it. That's the only part of the Iowa caucus that I actually enjoy. But yeah, it's so weird that Iowa can just decide we're first, and others. What if another state goes for you? You have to back it up, no matter how far it goes back. And also the process of how the caucus works. It's not a primary ballot like most other places do. It's this weird ritual where you gather in groups in gyms and libraries and stuff, and there's this process. They pass around popcorn bags and shit. It is the most ridiculous backward bumpkin shit you have ever seen, and it's given months, over a year of continuous political coverage. It's insane. Liz, what you haven't seen as many of these I have, but it's they're wild to see all the time.
I like how every 4 years we pretend Iowa is important, and it's fun for me. But you also didn't touch on how much money they spend on ads just for the state of Iowa. There's not that many people. How many total voters showed up? It was something, I want to say it was only a couple 100,000.
No, it was 50. It was 56,000. It was 50, or either Trump. So it was either the total vote was 56,000 or Trump got 56,000. Either way,
I think it was Trump got 56,000, because I think it was
so just over 100,000. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. yeah.
And those 100,000 people literally like determine whether Vivek Ramaswamy can continue his campaign or not. You know, and and as much as like, yeah, it sounds dumb in this context, like that has actually destroyed like the primary process has destroyed campaigns a
all
la
the time.
Bernie Sanders. That
Yep.
like if everything had just happened in one day, I'm not saying Bernie Sanders would have won, but at least all of the states would have been able to fucking vote for him. You know, whereas in the process that we have now, you know, there's probably some dude in California who really wanted to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy who can't anymore just because
Nope.
Iowa won first. It doesn't make any sense.
And you mentioned in Bernie losing because Bernie had some momentum going, but then he went to South Carolina, which is a much more conservative state. And Biden got a big jump from that. And now Democrats are moving South Carolina up to the front. And like their reasoning is, well, you know, there's a large black population there. So this is more representative. I was like, yeah, okay. I know what your real reason is. Like, I know your real reason you're putting South Carolina. All right. Nice cover there. I understand. But you know what's weird about the primaries is that the primaries weren't always a thing. Like they're relatively new in American politics. Like primaries didn't exist until the 1960s. Before that, the Republican and Democratic Party, or you know whatever major parties there were, like the Free Soil Party or the Whig Party or whatever, they just picked their own fucking candidate. Like the American people had no say in it whatsoever. The party got together. They said, all right, Martin Van Buren's our nominee. And the party, you know, execs got together and said, yeah, William Tilden is our nominee. The primaries did not exist. I think it was either 60 or 64. It was the first time there were ever primaries in the Republican Democratic parties. And when people were complaining about the incredibly undemocratic aspects of the Democratic primary, in that with the super delegates and everything, Republicans don't have super delegates, but the Democrats do. And it's like, yeah, it is undemocratic, but here's also the kicker. The Democratic Party or the Republican Party is under no obligation at all to put forward the nominee that people select. None. They are a private organization. They are not run by the government. They can put on that ticket whoever they damn well please. The primary, like it would be a big problem. Like they would, you know, piss off a lot of their voters. They don't want to do that, but they're under no obligation to do it. So that's the weird thing about the primary is that they're very new and they're still kind of fucked up. It's just pretty funny.
All right, guys, if you made it this far, that means you've made it to the end of the video, and we could not thank you enough. You don't even understand how much that helps the algorithm. And I'm sure one of the reasons that you made it this far is because you loved hearing from our amazing guest, Liz. And I want to throw it to Liz here so she can tell you where you can hear from her when she's not here on the left wing.
Thank you guys again so much for having me on. In all of my socials, I have my link tree, but you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok under All About Liz. That's ALLBOUTLIZ. All About Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Folks, if you liked what you saw, and of course you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your family, friends, loved ones, enemies. I don't care. Just share it with everybody. It's going to help us out a lot, and you'll see it more in the algorithm. Like, just do it, folks. It's quite literally the least you could do.